Good morning, explorers. Good morning. Welcome to another segment, a special Earth Day segment of Be an Explorer. Wednesdays are normally our Family Citizen Science Day, and we'll be talking a little bit about nature. So yeah, it still counts as citizen science since you're out there exploring and learning about it. So since this is still a special Be an Explorer, I like to start out all of our segments with our usual practice of a quick trip outside to explore. We look at cloud cover, we use our body thermometers to feel the temperature, and we look at are the leaves moving to try to determine the wind, of course, of any precipitation. So good morning for those of you who are coming, just joining us. I am on my outside camera and I cannot see your comments. So Sarah will be greeting you and repeating our instructions. So we're doing our outside check. And while those of you who are running outside to check in with your current explorer conditions, I'll give you an update from my backyard. Yesterday, those of you who are frequent watchers, we talked about how to take care of pollinators by picking up trash. But I started by talking about how I saw a robin with nesting material in its beak. Well, I think that was just practice because the robins have not started building their nest in earnest. They're still flying around. The males are still fighting with each other. But I did see a baby rabbit this morning. I was on the phone with my boss and I saw a little rabbit hop out. And to my credit, I managed to continue the conversation. I did run upstairs to get my good camera, but by the time I came back, it was gone. So check-in from my backyard, no clouds today. No blanket clouds, no cirrus clouds, maybe some high-level cirrus clouds over there. No wind. Nothing's moving, no grass, no leaves, no branches. And I'm standing in the sun and it's very nice. Actually, probably getting a little bit more towards the warm side because I am wearing a long sleeve shirt. So beautiful morning here in Pierce, South Dakota for Earth Day. If you got outside to pick up some trash yesterday, awesome. Today is another great day to do that. Remember to wear gloves, wash your hands, and be safe. Today, we're going in a slightly different direction from yesterday, where I talked about picking up trash and protecting the earth. Today, we're going to think about how we can use natural objects and be creative with them and look at them in different ways and even make some art. So I have a very special guest. Her name is Jennifer Burgin, and she is a teacher in Arlington, Virginia. She is also a National Geographic Explorer. She is the host of the upcoming Explorer Classroom. And so I'll let you tell Jennifer a little bit about what you do and who you are and what we're going to work on today.
Well, thank you so much for having me here today, Anne. I really admire your work, and I've heard so much about your explorers in South Dakota. So hello, South Dakota from sunny Arlington, Virginia. And I hope that some of my students are watching today. I know my family and friends are out there, so welcome to the broadcast. My name is Jennifer Burgin. I'm a 2017 Grosvenor Teacher Fellow with National Geographic Education and Lindblad Expeditions. And I am also a kindergarten educator at Oak Ridge Elementary in Arlington, Virginia. I've had the privilege of taking some really incredible classes with the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. And through those experiences, I learned ways to integrate art into other curriculum, including science. So I'm going to be sharing some really incredibly simple, doable, but fun experiences with found art from things in your neighborhood.
That sounds amazing. So let's just go ahead and jump right in.
All right, so
go for it.
The first thing I'd like to show today is something that I love. Oh, okay. So something that I love to do with my kindergarten learners that integrates science, math, and art is going to be creating a sort. So I've created a sort for you today with found objects from my backyard. One of the first things you want to do for a sort is you'll want to find an area that's clear. Here I found some old packing paper because I'm out of clean paper at my house. Several of you might be out of drawing paper, but you can draw on a lot of different things. First, I'm going to create 2 circles. Although my kindergartners would tell you, Mrs. Burgin, these are ovals. Okay, so I'm making 2 circular shapes. And you want to make sure that you have space outside of 2 circular shapes. Now, I went around my backyard and I found some objects and just placed them in this bucket. A sort is something that's really fun to do with others. I'm sorting by myself, so I'm going to be talking out loud so that you can hear the thoughts about my sort. The first object I have is a piece of branch that broke from a tree in a recent rainstorm. And when you start off a sort, you need to remember there's not a rule yet. Your sort has no rule. So you just have to start by placing something down. So I'm going to start by placing my branch right here. I'm going to go back into my bucket. And I'm going to pull out this dry leaf. It's curled, it's brown, and I have to make a decision. Is this leaf like the branch or different than the branch? You know, I could say my leaf is like the branch because they're both brown, or because they both came from a plant, or both. It's brown and it came from a plant. Or I could say my leaf is different. My leaf is curly and soft and thin. My branch is hard and strong and thick. Well, I think I'm going to leave this right here. And just so it doesn't fly away, I'm going to get some help from a rock. Now I go back and I find something new. Ah, this came off my flower bush. Now, I didn't pick anything off of living plants. I found all these on the ground, and this got blown off in the same rainstorm that blew off this branch. So I need to think about it. Does this flower petal go with my branch? Does it go with my leaf? Or does it do something else? I'm going to decide that it's going to go with my leaf. And now I want to think about my sort. What is my sort turning into? It looks like I'm doing objects that are thin and objects that are thick. So I'm going to keep doing my sort. I've got a piece of bark. To me, that's thick. I found a prickly leaf. To me, that's thin. You might be able to see these in your yard. These are all over Virginia, and my kindergarten students love to see their purple tips. I don't know. I think this would fit in the thin category. I have a pebble. To me, that's thick. Next, a dandelion. Thin. I'm not really sure. This is a lot of different things. This looks like some pollen and some leaves and some twig. It's thick and it's thin, so I can't really put it in either. I'm going to have to put it on the outside because it doesn't really belong in one category. All right, I got 2 things left. I've got the top of an acorn, which it's sturdy. It's not really thick. It's kind of thin. but I think it's going to go better over here. Lastly, straw. You may know my neighbors are doing construction, and this straw is all over their yard. And so I'm going to put the straw within. Now, the thing about a sort is that you can't really do it wrong. I could have made my sorts by colors. I could have made my sorts by length, or I could have even made my sort by how things feel. I could have done smooth versus rough. What's beautiful about these sorts is that it gets you and your family and your friends talking about objects, noticing their attributes, and classifying them in your own way. Again, there's no wrong or right way to do it. I think they're beautiful no matter how you look at it.
That is really interesting because as you were doing that, I was thinking about other ways to sort, and I would not have sorted them the same way.
Oh, what would you have changed?
Well, I didn't have the straw, so I was looking more at like parts of nature that they come from. So like the bark pieces, they come from like the hard part of the tree, and like the leaves and the flowers, they come from the less permanent parts of a tree. So the acorn is a less permanent part that they grow every year and they don't stay attached to the tree. That's kind of how I would have gone. The straw would have been like the crazy piece. I'm not quite sure what I would have done with the straw.
Oh, we could have put it here in the middle.
So
now we have and sort. These are less permanent parts of plants. These are more permanent parts of plants. And what would you have done with the rock, Anne?
I think because rock turns into soil and it helps feed the tree or provides space in the ground for the tree to grow, that just kind of stays. That's like part of the tree's environment. So that would have been with the permanent.
Yeah, this is part of what I love about this process.
Yeah.
You know, you're bringing in a new perspective that is really cool, and it's helping teach me. And I shared a new perspective with you that shows you my ideas and my background.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. And just so those of the explorers at home, this is a really important skill because in science, as we're learning about things and discovering things, sometimes we don't know everything there is about the thing. So as we're talking about it, we have to give evidence of why we are coming to the conclusions that we are coming to. So, you know, I had some ideas about how it needed to be sorted, and I had to give evidence for that. So that is a really good science.
Well, I'm so
very
glad you said
beginning
that.
science skill.
Yeah, evidence is so important. You know, a lot of times people will tell you something and you want to know why that is. And in my kindergarten class, we'll sort shapes, and it shows my students' understandings of shapes when they describe this. So when you and your family make a sort, it shows your understanding or your opportunities to understand more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, since you have all those great nature facts, there's another activity you can do with them now that you've got all the work of collecting them. And this comes from a friend of both of ours, Becky Schneckser. Shout out to Becky. And if you would was how to make art from found objects, because this is the artwork of one of my favorite artists. His name is Andrew Goldsworthy, and he actually takes natural objects and arranges them into art. Just so you know, he doesn't go in like wild areas and pull things apart. He uses them from places he can get them. So just impromptu, Jennifer, some of your found art ideas from your artifacts.
Yes, and I'm so glad, Anne, that you mentioned we shouldn't be taking things that are still growing and thriving or part of someone's habitat. These were all objects I found in my backyard that I knew it was safe for me to use. And if you're not sure if something is safe to use, ask the adult that's in your family, and they can help you determine what's safe or not appropriate to use. So our dear friend Becky Schnexer had a wonderful conversation on Twitter with National Geographic Education's Dr. Vicki Phillips. We talked about how you can use found objects to make pictures. Well, I know that something I really miss is traveling. So I'm looking at my objects and I'm thinking, could I make something about travel? You know, if I start to place some of these things together, I'm thinking, this reminds me, Anne, of something you and I both did. We both spent time on a ship having a wonderful expedition. Anne went to the Arctic. I went to Galapagos. And so I decided I'm going to make myself a ship with a sail. Let's see. Maybe this little dandelion can be me. I'm going to alter my dandelion. There's me on the ship. My sail has a beautiful picture on it. And so this is me sailing to Galapagos. And I could add some things like maybe this is a sea turtle. And I could give it some legs. And I could even add some water to it. Ta-da!
That's pretty awesome. You'll notice that I moved back inside simply because I was beginning to break up inside. And I'll give Jennifer a chance to go back to her camera. I just wanted to point out, Jennifer, that you have a number of people commenting in the comments. And so normally what we do is we go back and we read them. So those of you who are saying hello to Mrs. Burgin, she'll come back and she will greet you in the comments personally. And thank you for coming. And Becky is there too. Hello, Becky. It's so good to see you. Thank you for coming and adding. Of course, she had wonderful ideas and resources to add about the art idea. So, so finally, though, you had another really great idea, and I remember doing this as a child. So show us your last art project that you did with your found art objects.
So this last project is something that I actually did when I was a child. I used to do this with my dad and my mom and my grandmother when I was little. I loved looking at objects from outside. That's something that all children love to do. They're curious. I know my godson, Reese, and I love to go look outside and observe. And it's just a human trait. We pick up things off the ground. And I don't know about you, but have you ever just picked up a leaf and thought to yourself, wow, that's so beautiful? So I want to show you what you can do with these beautiful leaves. I know they won't last forever. They get old and crunchy and they decompose because they're an important part of recreating life outside. So again, I told you I don't have any clean paper at my house, so I found some old computer paper. And I found an old box. This is my splurge, my special edition box of crayons. It's so loved, I've had to tape it back up. It's filled with all sorts of crayons. And I like to take leaves, like this one that was my turtle in my found art, and I like to place them underneath my paper, and then I rub over them with a crayon. This works best with crayons, matte pencils. It doesn't work so well with marker. But I want to show you something beautiful. You can take these leaves and make wonderful art This is a leaf that was just moved around multiple times underneath the paper. And then here are two different leaves that are found in Virginia that were used to make symmetrical art. So it's the same on both sides. And one of the things that I love about this is that you can turn these into cards. I know a lot of people have been sharing mail because in Virginia, we're quarantined just like in South Dakota. So we've been making mail to send to other people that we love since we can't go visit them. I've actually made one of these to wrap a Mother's Day present. I know Mother's Day is coming up, so if you want to make something special for a person that's helped raise you, you could make this beautiful piece of art, or you could use it to wrap a present.
Awesome ideas. Beautiful. And I really like how you made art with the leaf rubbings, how you have like the leaf rubbing itself is art, but then you arranged it so to make something really beautiful. So that's really nice.
You know what something I didn't notice when I was just looking at the leaf? I didn't notice how multifaceted it is. I mean, it's just a leaf, right? But wrong. When the rubbings began, I noticed that leaves have ridges and veins, almost like a person. And they have these imprints that I never noticed until I rubbed them. Because when I was just looking at them, I couldn't see all that. So this helped me slow down and really appreciate a leaf. And I felt kind of sad parting ways with my leaf friends, but I put them back outside where they belong. And now I have a memory of something special.
Truly inspiring. I think I'm going to try that if I can find some crayons.
I can mail you some crayons. I have 100.
I've actually got a box. At work. Yeah, you're not the only adult who likes crayons. So, oh my gosh, and there's the baby bunny again. Of course, outside my window. I'll have to take a picture. So, excuse me while I take a quick picture. Because since this is Family Citizen Science, I will put this picture on my iNaturalist account, and he's running all over the place. And so I will put that in, upload it to iNaturalist, and put it in the chat so you can see the baby bunny in my backyard.
I think it's going to say Happy Earth Day to you.
Probably. So we've given you over the last few days a couple of ways to love and honor the earth by taking care of it, by picking up trash to protect those wild pollination plants, by making something beautiful to give back to the earth, because the earth gives us so much in food and land, air and water, and even beautiful things to look at. If you make something, we at the Discovery Center, we want to give something to the people who support us, our funders and our supporters, on the Day of Giving in May. So take a picture. It doesn't have to have your face in it. I can totally understand why you might not want to put your face on social media, but make sure it's public and tag it Advocate for Science so we can share out to our supporters and our funders about the impact they're having in our community and beyond. I'm looking at all the great comments, and many of them are addressed to Mrs. Burgin. So thank you so much for spending time with us. Your time is a gift, and we're so honored when you share it with us. So have a great Earth Day. Stay safe, stay curious, and go explore.